Hi everyone, welcome to Schaffhausen for the Moser keynote for this Watches and Wonders 2021. I'm very honored to host you here. I am Edouard Mellon, I'm the owner and CEO of H. Moser & Company. Today, I don't want to talk about our founder, Heinrich Moser. I don't want to talk about our history, 193 years of history for this beautiful brand. I'm not going to explain how we produce 1,500 watches, including our hairsprings here in Schaffhausen. I'm not going to introduce and present our 70 colleagues creating those amazing watches. And I'm not going to explain what we did in the last 8 years since we took over this brand with my family. What I want to talk about today is branding. What is branding, where it comes from, and how it impacts what we do here at H. Moser. So what is branding? The etymology of the word comes back to the ancient northern language. It means burning, brand, burning. At that time, the farmers would burn their cattle to recognize them because, as you probably can imagine, every cow looks very similar to each other. But in the Middle Age, you had also battles. And on the battlefield, you better know who your enemy is and who your friends are. So at that time, that's where the crest came, the color codes, and that became the first elements of branding. Then Industrial Revolution kicked in, many logos appeared already in the 19th century, but even more so in the 20th century. Branding is everywhere. Branding is not only logo, it's everything around the identity of the brand, from the values to the features of the products. So how do you stand out when you're a small brand out there lost in Schaffhausen, like Moser? How do you find your identity? For big brands, or for the best way to get out and get away from the logo and be able to break away from it is to become art. Imagine a beautiful Picasso or a Rodin statue. You don't see a big logo in the middle of that Picasso. That would ruin the art piece, right? But you recognize it as part of the artwork of Picasso. You understand it because you know what is done before and what is done after. Same thing with Rodin, same thing with Jeff Koons or Niki Saint-Phal that you can discover at the main station here, very close by in Zurich. These are artworks that you understand because of the key features, because it's part of an artwork. But if you're a brand, how do you get rid of that element, which is the logo? By becoming iconic. And very few brands achieve that. Here are some examples. So you have this beautiful bag, you have those shoes, you know the brands. You know Louboutin, you know Hermès, you know Le Corbusier. But it's only few brands achieve that. And usually it takes years and a lot of imagination, creativity, design elements. So let's talk about Moser. And let's go back to 2012 when we took over H. Moser & Company. At that time, Moser was in a difficult situation financially, but had beautiful products. The problem, I think they looked a little bit like every other product. This is the main product we were selling at that time. White gold, silver dial, 10 days power reserve, center second. To be honest, it looked a little bit like everybody else, no? Here we have about 4 other brands. You probably know those brands, but I'm not sure you recognize the product. We actually have an Audemars Piguet, Jules Audemars, we have a Calatrava from Patek, we have a Saxonia from Lange, and a Patrimony from Vacheron. Those brands have the chance to have, beautiful, iconic products like the Nautilus or the Royal Oak. But at Moser, all we had was this watch, the Monard. So what is my dream at Moser? What do I want to achieve with Moser? How do we want this brand to survive, to continue to grow in the future? Is by becoming something unique and different. And my dream, I would like to symbolize it with this cool picture that I found on the internet. No need to know the brand. You recognize the features, you know who it is. So at Moser in the recent years, we really worked hard on defining our features. We worked on the case and the hands of our products. We worked so that they look from far away very similar and so that people can really understand what are the codes of Moser. So it comes with the fumé dials, the colored on the fumé dials, the quality of those fumé dials, the shape of our hands, how we integrate the indexes. These are key features of our watches. But also on the movement side, the Moser codes, the engraving, the moustache for our escapement. These are all elements that we introduce to really make sure that every single movement can be understood and recognized as a Moser. Even on the case, if you look at the side of the case, we introduce those free forms. Here you have different interpretations, but they're all from the same brand and you know it. You have the M, but you also have those free forms on the Endeavor, the Pioneer, and the Streamliner. And combining that we made Moser quite unique, to a point where at some point we were confident enough that we could remove everything unnecessary for our products and launched the concept watch. That was the first concept, the first watch that we felt would help Moser codify what our key features are and make sure people understand what is Moser. The hands, the dials, the quality, the case, the movement, all those elements make a Moser watch recognizable. I want people, when they come to a meeting or a presentation and see somebody wear a Moser, they recognize it from far away, from 3 meters away. If they don't, that means we're not doing a good job, and in that case, we don't release the watch. Here are some other examples of those amazing products. Here's the minute repeater tourbillon, also no branding, going to the limit, not only in the design, but also in the function, trying to get rid of everything that is unnecessary. That's the Moser way. Also the perpetual calendar. A lot of people saw this limited edition and said, well, it doesn't look like a perpetual calendar. It's just a 2 or 3 hands watch with a date. It's actually a perpetual calendar because you see this small arrow at the center? That's a genius feature from the Moser perpetual calendar because it indicates the 12 months by using the 12 indexes of the watch. So you don't need anything else. If you know how this watch works and you know what Moser is, you recognize it from far away. Same with this watch, which some might confound with maybe other brands, but at the same time, it has all the codes of Moser. It even have a new dial that we recently developed, the Vanta Black. It's a Moser, it's recognizable. And that's what's key for us, and that's how we worked on the novelties again and again for Moser. So this year, the theme for the keynote at Moser was really to look at our creations as pieces of art and see how do we interpret that in everything we do today, we've done recently, and we will do in the future. In order to symbolize that, I asked a French artist, Seconde Seconde, to interpret Moser. Seconde Seconde is an artist from Paris who reinterprets vintage watches. He's worked on Rolex, Patek, actual watches, but also art pieces that you can hang on the wall. His concept is to remove one of the hands and replace it with a symbolic, pixelized element that sends a message. Here are some examples, and people can buy his artworks, his watches, with the original hand. That's what we call the hand swap. So I went to him and I said, hey, what would be your take on H. Moser? What do you think is the essence of H. Moser? What is the philosophy of what we do? And for him, the idea comes of the eraser. It comes to the idea that we, at H. Moser, the essence is to remove everything, that to go in the process of minimalism, going to the essence takes time. It takes amount of time to design, to erase, to start again, and that's the symbol that we have here on this art piece, the eraser, but also on the watch that we launched last week on the 1st of April. We like to play with symbolism. I like the idea that on the 1st of April, we launched something completely crazy, where people might think, is it really an April Fool, or is that the real watch? Well, you know, at Moser, we're crazy enough to actually do it. So we launched this 20 pieces limited edition that can be bought exclusively on our e-commerce with the small eraser reminiscent of our childhood for some of us. You can see here in the background of the watch with this beautiful funky blue dial in a 40 millimeter in steel, and everybody can buy it with the art piece that you can see here. So at Moser, as I said, minimalism. Every watch is a piece of art. That's our motto. The next collection that we're introducing this year is another take on Moser philosophy. A few years back, we started working with stone. We started with glass, with aventurine. Then we worked with malachite, which was a very important launch last year. We did a special series for a certain market, which worked very well. And Heinrich Moser used to work a lot with malachite. And this year, I wanted to bring something that reflects really the identity of Moser on the dial side. We have those beautiful, very dynamic dials, the fumé dials. And if it was a stone, what stone would it be? So I played with many different stones, and one that really struck me is the tiger's eye. The tiger's eye is a natural stone. It's actually a semi-precious stone, very difficult to work with. And we decided to work on that and introduce it in a very special edition, the Endeavour Tourbillon stone dial. So the Endeavour Tourbillon Tiger's Eye comes in two different versions. We have two limited edition of 50 pieces. First, the Falcon Eye. It's a white gold 40mm automatic flying tourbillon double hairspring. Beautiful, very elegant. And second is the rose gold, also 40mm automatic with ox eye. That's the red version of the Tiger's Eye. As you've seen in the movie, this is something that is very versatile, very dynamic, plays with the light extremely well. These are fibers of silica that is playing inside the dial. Now let's talk about something fun, something cool. I mean, I know everybody out there has been locked down for quite some time. And a year ago at Moser, we decided that we wanted to create a watch that would be our post-lockdown watch. The watch that we want to take to go to the beach, the watch we want to take to go and have a beer with our friends, have a drink and meet our friends out there, the family, etc. And the code name for that project was the Mega Cool. Now, when the watch was ready, at the end of the entire process, the first reaction of the watchmakers was like, wow, mega cool. And that's the typical reaction in Swiss German here in Schaffhausen. So the name stayed. I know some people said it's a hardiest name for a beautiful watch, but at Moser we like to do it a different way. So I'm super excited to introduce the Pioneer Mega Cool. Proud to introduce the Pioneer Center Second Mega Cool, available in this non-limited edition Center Second in steel, 120-meter water resistance, 42.8mm. A beautiful watch, very versatile, a beautiful Blue Lagoon dial. There's also a limited edition. It's a big sister, the Flying Tourbillon Automatic, also in 42.8mm, in steel, limited to 50 pieces. The beauty is in the details, and that's always the case at Moser. Look at these beautiful hands. This has three-dimensional Globolite molded ceramic superluminova elements that we set on the hands. It's a new technology. But also look at this logo. This is a transparent logo, a lacquered logo that we set on top of the dial. This is so subtle. You only see it under certain angles, under certain lights. It's important for us. Our watches, we consider them as art pieces. We think that the dials are canvas. They are our signatures. There's no need to put a big logo in the center of everything we do. So you have the choice. You can see a watch as an instrument or an art piece. We've decided at H. Moser, and I let you decide. Thank you very much.